how to determine the type of speaker that you are. This is incredibly important. Bonjour! This is incredibly important. How to determine the type of speaker you are. It's important because you have to know what you're going to bring to your audience ahead of time. And the primary way that you determine the type of speaker you are is by first determining what you want your audience to get. What is it that you want for them to get from you? Okay? Audience determines that. We talked about what's important. You, your audience, and your knowledge, right? You, your audience, and your knowledge. So what is it that you want for your audience to get from you? That will determine. Now, there are four general types of speakers. Now, most people think there's only one or two. For the most part, people think that if you're a speaker, you're either a motivational speaker or you're a preacher. It's like one or the other. You're either a motivational speaker, like you're either Les Brown, or you're a preacher. Most of the time, most of the people who I come in contact with who are not in the space, they think that the only type of speaker is a motivational speaker, but that's not true. Okay, that's not true. There are four general types of speakers. All right. And I'm going to go over each of them and kind of help you to decide which type of speaker you would like to be or which type of speaking you would like to pursue. Okay. So what you want to make sure is that whichever type you fall into or that you decide to embrace, that you deliver your message in a way that nobody is left behind. Okay. Because speaking is not about you. It's not about you and your platform. All right. It is about what you want your audience to walk away with. So you want to make sure that you deliver your message so that nobody is left behind. That's your job and your job alone. All right. The event coordinator can't determine that. Your event team can't determine that. Only you can make up in your mind that you are going to deliver your message regardless of the type of speaking in such a way that nobody is left behind. Okay? The first type of speaker is an informational speaker. Informational speaker. All right? Now we take notes, so make sure that you have your pen and your paper. All right? An informational speaker. Informational speaking is the foundation for all the other types of speaking. Okay? An informational speaker, for example, most of the time we think of an informational speaker as for a teacher. That's like, the easiest example or the most relatable example, I should say, is a teacher. Okay? An informational speaker is responsible for delivering information and information only. Okay, so if you've ever sat in a training, personal development, a meeting at work, and you have, most of the time people think of this type of speaker as having that monotone voice, like the dry eyes guy, talking like this, and it's one tone throughout the whole conversation, right? But informational speakers don't have to be dry, okay, like that. They don't have to be dry. All right. It's just the point that they are responsible for only giving information. And so sometimes that can be tricky. That can be very tricky. Okay. They're not responsible for motivating you, for inspiring you. Their only concern is the content. Okay. That's their only concern. Now, if that is your concern and that's what you want your audience to get, just the content, you want them to walk away full of knowledge, then informational speaking is for you. Okay? What you have to make sure is that you deliver great content. You have to be committed to giving great content. Okay? Informational speaking, once again, does not have to be boring. My advice is that you give your content in bite-sized pieces. Okay, so as not to come across as being very stuffed shirt or very tight or very, you know what I'm saying, just kind of, yeah, like that. Right? So that's informational speaking. All right. The second type of speaker is a motivational speaker. Now, this one is what most people, again, are familiar with. Your Les Browns, okay? Motivational speaking. Well, I was going to say Montel Williams, but you guys may only know him for his TV show. But before he was Montel Williams on TV, he was a motivational speaker. Okay, so you may be familiar primarily with motivational speaking or can identify most with that. All right, so a motivational speaker, their whole job is to get the listeners on fire. They bring that energy, they bring that boom, they bring that personality, they bring that oomph to the crowd. Right, they are on it. They are the jumper cables, right, for the crowd. They make up a lot of noise. They want you to talk to your neighbor, lots of sharing and all that good stuff, right? So a motivational speaker's job is to get the crowd hyped from the outside in, okay? So if that's your desire and you like the rah, 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 the applause and all that good stuff, then motivational speaking is for you. If you want to give your audience a charge to like, woo, like I said, set them on fire, then motivational speaking is for you. That's what you ought to be doing. Now, here's the caveat. Here's my advice, okay? Now, when you motivate from the outside in, that motivation, that energy will only last at the max about 90 days. Now, you know that to be true because think about when you've gone to hear a motivational speaker, right? Motivational speaker, they got you hyped and you're like, yeah, I'm about to change the whole doggone world. You can't stop me. I am the man. Boom. And then in a month, you like, I don't know what I was thinking. Because I don't even feel like doing this. What? No. I was going to do what? No. Right? Or when the excitement wanes, it's almost like what you were excited about like goes to the back of your mind too. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay? So if you are going to choose the path of motivational speaking, that's awesome. But just remember that motivation is only going to last about 90 days. So you got to keep a touch point with the people in your audience. Okay? About every 45 days because they're going to keep needing you to jumpstart them. They're going to keep needing you to hook up them jumper cables and give them that charge again. They're going to keep on. Now, most people think that I am, or they categorize me as a motivational speaker because of my energy, because I crack jokes and I'm, woo, what I'm saying? But really, I'm not. I'm not a motivational speaker. Now, an element of my speaking is to motivate, but I'm not a motivational speaker. Okay? All right? So we've covered two types so far, right? Two types. Informational speaker. That person just gives content only. Their concern is only content, and that's fine. Just make sure that when you are delivering that content that you are giving so much massive value that you keep your audience's attention. Okay? Then the second type of speaker that we talked about is a motivational speaker. A motivational speaker brings the energy. They are the jumper cables. They give a jump start. Okay? And they bring that from the outside in. So it only lasts for so long. Okay? So you have to decide, are you informational? Are you motivational? The third type of speaker that we're going to talk about is an inspirational speaker. An inspirational speaker. An inspirational speaker causes the audience to be introspective, to assess their personal lives and their experience, to take a deeper look at themselves. We could put pastors and ministers in this category. as an inspirational speaker, okay? When you go and you are in the audience of an inspirational speaker, you tend to have a more quieter, a more reflective encounter, okay? Because that's necessary. That's necessary. Because an inspirational speaker, they want to move their audience from the outside in. From the inside out. Okay? So they want their audience to start here and then go out. So it's very self-assessing. There's a lot of personal reflection. So there are those opportunities to be kind of quiet, more mellow. You know what I mean? Now, when you are thinking about, okay, should I do motivational? Should I do inspirational? And you're trying to decide, keep these things in mind, okay? Depending on where they were when they came to you, your audience is going to will need to be touched again in 30 to 90 days, okay? Now, when I say touched, that means reaching out to them via email, a video, via your website, some kind of way. They need to be back in touch with you from 30 to 90 days, okay? Self-development falls into this category, all right? Self-development falls here. So you want to push them as an inspirational speaker. Your goal is to push them to get to the best version of themselves. Again, we're going to look at who I am, the experiences I've had, okay? And then what then do I do with that? All right? Inspirational speakers also enjoy speaking to people who are broken, all right? So they need healing, emotional, spiritual healing, all right? Their soul has been impacted some kind of way with some kind of brokenness. And so an inspirational speaker is one whose words are going to console that person. Okay? So all my counselors, my spiritual healers, all of you guys, inspirational speakers. Okay? All right? But don't forget, you got to stay in touch. Because they need you. They need you to stay in touch. They need you to kind of keep your hands cupped around them. So you got to figure out a way to stay in touch if you're going to go the inspirational speaker route. Okay? Now, the last type of speaker, the type of speaker that I am, is a transformational speaker. All right? And most people don't even realize, unless you're in the speaking space already, most people don't even realize that there is a such thing as a transformational speaker, okay? But there is, all right? A transformational speaker requires a push and pull. There's an exchange that happens in transformational speaking, okay? A transformational speaker has to be willing to go into his or her dark places in order to help their audience come out of their dark place. Did you catch that? Okay. A transformational speaker has to be willing to go into their dark spaces in order to grab their audience and pull them out of their own dark spaces. So what does that mean? A transformational speaker is one who is willing to share their dirty laundry. And y'all already know. I will tell it, okay? Because I live an instructional life, right? So a transformational speaker calls to that all-star in you, calls to that man or that woman that you always knew that you could be. That's what a transformational speaker does, okay? And it also requires grinding and accountability. This type of speaker digs deep, okay? Not to say that the others only hit the surface, but someone who is transformational in their speaking, they deliberately, it's not by accident, they deliberately dig deep on purpose, okay? And they push the buttons that need to be pushed in order to make the audience feel uncomfortable. It's on purpose, but it's strategic. Okay? Because you have to help the audience to identify the areas that need change. But the difference is that you're going to give them an action. You aren't just going to leave them there. You're going to take them on a journey through your mess that looks like their mess, but you're going to show them how you came back up out of it. And in doing so, you show them that it's possible. Okay, that's a transformational speaker. Now, when you are a transformational speaker, you have to be willing to completely divorce the need to be liked. I need you to catch that. If you decide to be a transformational speaker, you want your audience to experience some type of change, some type of transformation, to have an experience where they walk away different, then you're going to step on some toes. And what you say is not going to necessarily be liked. And instead of getting a standing ovation, you may get a side eye. And you have to be okay with that. You just have to be okay with that. You have to divorce the need to be liked. Now, here's the thing. You have to master what Lisa Nichols calls carefrontation. Okay? So you present it in a way that lets your audience know that you've been there and you understand that you aren't looking down your nose at them like, well, why are you still in it? Why are you still doing that? You aren't judging them. But you are saying to them, there's a way out and you can take it or leave it. That's it. Okay? So it's carefrontation. You want your audience to know that you care about them. They got to know that. Okay? And then you can talk about the areas of transformation that are necessary. You can talk about the toes that you got to step on, and because you have sometimes, most of the time, you have to expose something in order for it to heal. You have to expose it. But what you do as a speaker who is transformational, what you do is you also present the other side, how success looks, how it looks when you come out. Okay? Now, what that means is you have to also live your own transformation. And if you're at a place where you have decided that your mess will be your message and you are being authentic in your life, I told you, my life is instructional. I want people to be able to look at me and do what I do, and to look at my mistakes and do the opposite. Okay? So you have to be at a place where you're saying, okay, I know that my mess is my message and I'm willing to share it and to live it. The tongue in your mouth has to match the tongue in your shoe. Period. If you're going to be a transformational speaker and you're going to cause the audience to see the best parts of themselves and you're going to show the audience the way out, then the tongue in your mouth must match the tongue in your shoe. Period. You got to walk the talk that you speak. Okay? Transformational speaking can be scary. It's not the safest of the four. But for me, it is the most fulfilling. It is the most fulfilling because I'm able to initiate more change in the lives of my tribe than in any other way. Okay, so quick review. What type of speaker are you, or are you determined to be? Okay, 4 types that we discussed during this training. First type, informational speaker. Just great content, straight content, information, straight content, bang, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and we out. Okay? Second type, motivational speaker. Rah, 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 sis, boom, bye, you can do it, yeah. Okay? Motivation from the outside in. Inspirational speaker. All right? What's those areas that you need to be self-assessing? What's those areas that you need to be introspective about? Inside out. And then transformational speaking. I know where you are. I know where you need to be. Let me show you. Let me show you how. Okay? Now, here's a caveat. Depending on your audience, you may need to make sure that you are comfortable being all of those based on your audience. Now, you're an expert, so informational speaking will be easy. If you have an audience where all that event host needs is for you to give information, boom, you're the expert, that's easy. You can do that in your sleep. You're just fine with that. Okay? Motivational speaking, just know that if your audience needs a motivational speaker, you just got to bring the energy. You got to be excited about what you're talking about, which means you have to be passionate about the topic. That will help. When you are passionate about the topic, it's easy to bring the energy. Or if you are passionate about the audience, the demographic of the audience that you are in front of, then it's easy to bring the energy. All right? If you're in front of an audience that needs an inspirational speaker, then just know that you want to be very loving and you want to be patient. Because that know, like, trust factor is very, very important when you are an inspirational speaker. They got to trust you and they got to know that you care. Okay? Then as a transformational speaker, if the audience needs a speaker who is transformational, then just make sure that you have stories and action steps that align with your content. Stories and action steps that align with your content, because you gotta put your audience in action on the change that you want them to have, on the transformation that you want them to experience. All right? So, what type of speaker are you? Is it informational? Is it motivational? Is it inspirational? Or is it transformational? Let's see.